results do not lie. Teddy has released an NFL season win totals report every year since 2001 and is 91-41 with those releases, including a 14-3, that's 82% mark, with his 5% best bets. He went 75% with this report last year, including an easy 5% big ticket winner with the Bills over 9 wins. Take advantage of this opportunity and get on board for the low price of $199, or better yet, the report is free for Teddy's full season subscribers, documented 57% over the last 5 years, counting every play, every day. Get on board with this proven NFL profit producer.
Welcome into First Pitch for Wednesday, July 7th. I am Drew Martin, your host, joined by Dave Cokin and Tony Finn of WagerTalk.com. We got Teddy covers season win total for NFL coming out this week. Going to want to check out the website for that. But first up, we got 4 games on tonight's slate. Best bets at the end. So we're getting after it on today's show. First up here, Dave Cokin from WagerTalk.com. Big winner last night, Dave. Happy Wednesday morning to you. Welcome into the show.
Nice result on the Yankees-Mariners first 5 innings over. That went over in the second inning, so that was fun. The other game was the Oakland A's first 5 against the Astros, which was my free play. I gave it out here, and it was selection as well. Ended up with a push on that one. That was some pushes are good, some pushes are bad. This was one of the bad ones. 6-2 lead, 6-3 going to the bottom of the 5th. End up with a tie. Those aren't much fun, but it was a good night. I've got a free play that I've done a video for. We'll talk about that game here on the show today. I've got a featured play again of the Yankees and Mariners and a Game 5 selection on Canadians Tampa Bay Lightning. And those are up at WagerTalk.com right now. My homepage there is wt.buzz/DC.
So some NHL action as well. Good day to check out the website for that. And Dave Cokin's selection there. We'll get a lot of his MLB opinions on today's slate. And Tony Finn as well. Tony making the appearance here on Wednesday. Welcome in, Tony. How you feeling?
Thank you. It's a good day. I woke up, my mantra. So I'm ready to stand in front of the train. Let's do it again. Either dodge it, beat it, or get run over. Last night, I thought I had a good night going last night. Truthfully, I had two baseball games, 2 run line games, 2 visiting teams. I had the Phillies minus the 1.5. I had the Reds minus 1.5. And the Reds, in truth, listen, the Reds bullpen hasn't been great, but it's been pretty good last month. I mean, they've been pretty good, except for the 2 times I've played them. And last night they gave up 4 runs in the bottom of the 9th. Not only did they blow my 1.5, they lost outright. So I had a big play on the NBA game that cashed. Tonight's another night. I haven't put them up yet. I got 2 plays for tonight. You can get them. I'm going to put them together, at least price them accordingly, and try to get you 2 plays for 1. You can find me only at Wager Talk.
All right, Tony, and shout out to the chat box here. We got Jessica joining us here, Buck, Joe, sports fan, Daryl, Patrick, Jim, all of you guys, welcome in. Feel free to let us know where you're watching from, what you're looking to bet tonight's slate. We already got some guys talking about different pitching matchups on tonight's slate. A good one here to start off, Dave, and interesting note, it's a 4 o'clock Eastern start time with the Boston Red Sox and Anaheim Angels here. We get Heaney versus Rodriguez going for the Sox. Looks like Boston taking a little money throughout the day here, Dave, up to about minus $1.25 road favorites, 9 being the total in LA. Again, an earlier start here. This is the only early start we will talk about on today's show, 4 o'clock Eastern first pitch. Dave, you interested in getting involved here in Southern California?
Well, I think you can make a case for the Red Sox here. Eduardo Rodriguez was struggling, but the Red Sox kept winning his starts anyway, which it's really crazy. If you go back through the history of Erod with the Red Sox, they have a phenomenal record when he pitches. When he pitches well, they win, and when he doesn't pitch well, they still win. Erod off a very good start last time out, probably his best performance of the season. So he's coming in here on a little bit of a roll. Andrew Heaney is on the opposite role. He has not been effective lately. Look, he's a guy who has to command his fastball because his other stuff it's okay, But if he doesn't have his fastball working, he gets clobbered. And if you've watched his recent starts, he has had a lot of problems commanding that fastball. He's been wild in the strike zone, which is worse than being wild out of the strike zone. I mean, you can get away with a walk here or there, but when you're throwing it down the middle or throwing high cheese that good hitters are going to hit, that's not good. So current form would favor Eduardo Rodriguez, and the Red Sox are the better team anyway. So I can see why the Red Sox are getting the money in this matchup, and I would agree with that side.
Okay, and Tony, coming to you next. I guess one advantage to talking an earlier start game is we can see the lineups here. And on the Red Sox side, it looks like JD Martinez, Bogarts, they're in. And as for the Angels, Ohtani pitching last night, he is slated to bat second, and Jared Walsh third. What are you thinking here in Southern California?
Dave is spot on. I mean, Erod, I've always been one that, especially this year, I have avoided the Red Sox because their hot start was contrary to what I thought they were going to be. I always thought that they would have their 15-minute moments throughout the season, being able to hit the ball. But their pitching staff's really, I thought, is pitched above and beyond their pay grade or the skill set. And Erod, I've played him once this year. I faded him, and I happened to be right in that particular instant. He earned a W against the Yankees. He let 2 runs on 5 hits, no walks, struck out 8 over 6. That's pretty good stuff. I would typically say really good stuff. Except the Yankees aren't great at the plate this year. Haney, you pretty much know what you're going to get with Haney, and it's typically pedestrian. Imagine if they would have devoted the money that they gave Rendon, who can't stay healthy, to some pitchers for LA. They would be much better off. I mean, they got 2 generational talents, in Ohtani and Trout, and they continue year in and year out to disappoint us. I think Dave, I did with Dave and you a preseason show that year in and year out you just play the Angels under because they always disappoint. This game, I'll lean, even though you just described the lineup sounds like it just sounds like it's going to be a fun game to watch, but I would always lean the Red Sox. I would always lean against the Angels at home, especially when they're laying minus money. So here we go.
Well, they're not laying.
Talk about the Red
Sox, the favorite. So.
I'm saying, I apologize. What I'm saying is, I always lean against playing the Angels at home, typically because they're going to lay money. They're the Angels. They're Mike Trout. LA's not playing in this game. I still lean the Red Sox. You're not laying that much.
All right, guys, and we do have a big day slate, but I mean, to your point, Tony, Boston 54-33. They're just a monster there in the AL East. I mean, up almost 20 units on the season if you've been betting them each and every game. Big day slate here, guys, as we got 3 games left on the night slate. But sometimes on Wednesdays, Dave, we just do a quick hitter here on the day games. I mean, one thing that popped out to me is DeGrom versus Burns. Milwaukee versus the New York Mets here going off in 15 minutes. A total of 4.5 in a 7-inning game. That one caught my eye. Also, Mize pitching for the Tigers. They're catching a big plus price. I bet that one personally, plus 135, I believe, on the Tigers against the Rangers. Gibson, a good pitcher himself. I just think a little bit of value there on the Tigers. A bunch of day games. Did anything jump off your slate here, jump off the slate to you, Dave, in the day action?
No, it didn't. I did look at the Tigers-Rangers game. I mean, Mize has pitched well, and I've had some success with him, but he wasn't good in his last start, and I think he might need a break. The innings are starting to pile up for the young right-hander, and Gibson has just been sensational. He's having a great year for the Rangers, deserves a spot on the All-Star team, and is very likely, according to those who follow this stuff very closely, very likely to be one of the hot commodities on the trading market as we head toward the deadline in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I could see that, him moving as well. And Tony, just real quick here, did anything jump off the board in the day action for the people watching live?
Yeah, you just talked about that. I not only liked playing against Mize today. Mize has they've been really careful with Mize. They're anytime you're dealing with a pitcher that has load management, and that's what Mize has right now. Although he's been consistent. He's been pretty good this year. He's still not missing enough bats, and that's always a concern with me. always a concern for me in this environment we play in. If you don't miss bats, it's tough to be successful. Speaking of crazy, Gibson has the highest WAR of any pitcher in baseball. The highest WAR. Of course, they don't have a lot of people or a lot of good arms to replace him with, but he's been really good. His numbers at 6-0, sub-2 ERA. There's some negative regression due because it's not who he's been in his career, and he's not a prospect coming up. But he is pitcher friendly. He's in a pitcher friendly park, and been terrific. So that was a game. I liked the under. I actually like Texas. The price is a little high for me on the Rangers, and I like the under 8 in that game.
I'd argue that point a little bit with Gibson.
Okay.
There's no debate at all that he was a marginal pitcher prior to the season, but he said coming to spring training that he had been really working on the cutter.
Yep.
And it's been really effective. Sometimes it takes a guy a long time to find himself. I talked about this. I know we've talked about this several times. Kevin Gossman, who for his entire career was a dud. I mean, he was a very high draft pick out of LSU, I believe, and was supposed to be a superstar. And it never happened for him until last season when he developed a splitter. And it's one of the best splitters I've seen in a long time. He really commands the pitch extremely well. And he's gone from being just a guy who was bouncing around and really accomplishing very little to one of the better pitchers in baseball. And that's what can happen when you develop one pitch. Look, we talk about the cutter. Mariano Rivera, failed starting pitcher, a guy who looked like he might not even have a career as a reliever, developed a cutter and goes into the Hall of Fame as the best relief pitcher in the history of baseball. If you can master one pitch, and it looks like Gibson has mastered one pitch to go with his other stuff, you can turn your career around. And Kyle Gibson's a guy right now he's in line to make a lot of money.
I would probably listen. I would say this, Gibson, that you're a starting pitcher, one pitch will not change your career. For a reliever, yes, you don't have to be but a one pitch pitcher as a reliever.
I completely disagree with that.
You tell me one 2-pitch pitcher right now in baseball. Tell me one 2-pitch pitcher.
No, it's not
that is worth his salt.
Not necessarily a 2-pitch pitcher, but if you can develop a dominant pitch as a third pitch, which Gausman
the third
did,
pitch, yeah. Well, Gausman's a tack guy. He's a tack guy. He's got involved with some with the tack, and we'll see how that goes. I think the jury's still out on Gausman. He has been sensational. He's been good. He was decent before he arrived in San Fran. But this pitching staff has pitched so far, Dave, above their pay grade. So far, you don't have 4 or 5 pitchers that are having career years all in the same. Unless I'm living in a different dimension. I just think I just think we're due to see some fallback on these guys. I hope not. I like San Francisco. I'd like to see them do well. I'd like to see them compete. But I'm not of that school, Dave. I believe. Listen, if you've been in the major league 7 or 8 years and you've been pedestrian, I can't. I would argue with you on the one pitch changing a career. Rivera's a different situation. He didn't have to have. All he had to do is throw his cutter. Really, it's all he had to do. Is that good? So yeah, and he had to do it for 3 outs. Right.
I would argue Gausman has a right, and Gibson might well have. I mean, I'm watching this guy, and he's not the same pitcher he was before. His confidence, the difference, more than anything, it's not the one pitch; it's the confidence he has in that pitch. Yeah. He's just a different guy. Now, can it turn around? Absolutely, but I don't see it happening for a while. And he's considering his salary structure, he might be the hottest guy out there at the deadline because he's got team friendly numbers as far as the contract goes, and Texas is going to get, if they're willing, they're going to get a good haul for him.
Yeah,
well,
I
would say they were going to move him. Yeah, they're if they can get that kind of money you're suggesting, David, I think they probably can. And this what's available, I think I agree with you on that. And if they're going to move him, their team is basically rebuilding. Yeah, I agree.
Right, because
we see
Washington's not going to trade Max Scherzer because I heard all that, and it's like you haven't followed the Nationals if you think they're going to deal Max Scherzer. They don't sell at the deadline. They never sell. They always think they're contenders. But if they put Scherzer on the market, even for a rental, I don't know how much they get for him because he is a rental. Gibson might be another story. We'll see.
Yeah. And Dave, another point to that is it doesn't seem like a lot of hot commodities out there on the market in the pitching perspective. So if one of these big names go out, it's almost like they're making the market. When you talk about a guy like, Max Scherzer or even Gibson, these guys for what's out available right now, it would just kind of blow the market up because there's really no hot commodities out there right now.
Well, there probably will be. I would assume Trevor Bauer might be available.
Good one to leave it there, guys. Trade deadline will be fun to watch here in the coming weeks. But huge shout out to the chat box again. Abby joining us, Danny as well. Patrick saying DeGrom versus Burns could have made the total 1.5. It is 4.5. That is a low total on the day board here as that one goes off in about 5 minutes, guys, if you're interested in getting involved. We got 3 games left. Heading out to the AL West for the next game we're breaking down on the show here, Tony. We get the Oakland A's and the Houston Astros, number 1 and number 2 in the AL West right now. Sean Manaea versus Garcia going for Houston. We're seeing minus $1.50 here. The Astros at home, 8.5 the total. The Oakland A's backs have gone cold here, Tony. I'm leaning towards the Astros. How are you feeling today?
Well, I would like the Astros here. I didn't play the Astros. Had the rules been had Houston been on the road, even in Oakland, I know the situation is different in that case. But I've been a minus 1.5 player for Houston for pretty much the last 30 days. Not every night, but I mean, I've been pretty successful with that. And until recently, I lost one the other night. It was a 3-2 final, and I backed off for a while. And as is typical in baseball, Houston was great. Had a great June, and July hasn't been quite as successful. And this one, I agree. The price, I agree at $1.50. I think that's a fair price against Manaea. I do. I'm not a big Manaea fan. I'm not a big Oakland fan. Period. I'm not a fan of Bassett. I'm not a fan of any of these guys. I don't think they're anything more than pitchers that are inning eaters, and that I'm exaggerating to a degree. They do a little better than that, but this is a team that last year was pretty fortunate. They won a lot of games, a lot of walk-offs last year. They won one for me last week. I was happy to see it, but that's not going to do it against this Houston team that's playing, again, coaching staff for the Astros have taken a staff, or they've lost an awful lot of good pitchers in the last 3 years. Houston has. We go down the list, a lot of good pitchers, and they just seem to produce guys year in and year out. And tonight's one of those guys that is never going to wow anybody, but he's having an awful good season. And outside the last start, Garcia's a guy that I'll back.
Yeah, and Dave, coming to you here in conclusion for this one, we're talking about the Houston Astros. They smash lefties, they smash righties here. I mean, Garcia, he's been good, at least sometimes. Minus 150. It is pricey for me, but I like the Stros side. You liking anything here in Houston?
I have a higher opinion of Manaea, I think, than Tony does. I think, this is a guy who's had some health issues, but seems to be in pretty good shape now as far as that goes. And he's borderline. He's been a borderline top 20 pitcher this year. He's been good. The bad news is he's facing a lineup that destroys left-handers tonight, and it's tough to make a case for him. And the Oakland A's are not playing good baseball right now. But if you're asking me who I prefer among Manaea and Garcia, it'd be the lefty. He's the better pitcher. I think Garcia's done a nice job for Houston, appears to have good stuff, but I would keep an eye on him as the season progresses. He's getting close now to his career high in innings pitched. And oftentimes a younger guy gets to those, and at the major league level, it's obviously more stressful than the minor league level. We could see some regression with Garcia as things go on later in the season and he gets past 100 innings. That's the problem with babying a lot of these pitchers. It's a philosophy I don't particularly agree with. I think you need to try and build them up so they can go out there and be effective, even if it's 6 or 7 innings, they can be effective for the whole season. The kid gloves treatment, to me, hasn't done these pitchers any favors in terms of building them up long term. I think they're more subject to injury, and it's a philosophy I completely disagree with as far as baseball baseball as a whole is concerned. Anyway, as far as this game goes, maybe a lean first 5 to the A's at the price, but that's as far as I could go with it because Houston's bats are going to hit for 9 innings. And once you get Manaea out of there, well, the Oakland bullpen wasn't great last night after Bassett left, and I'm not sure it'll be great tonight. This Astros offense is scary good, even without Bregman.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and
Dave.
to know what Dave just what you guys talked about is this team they don't strike out. They put the bat on the ball. They put a lot of pressure on defenses. And to Dave's credit here, what his case is making is Manaea has plus control. He has plus command. That's where his home runs on the road are a lot higher than at home. Oakland fits his MO pretty well. But the thing about Houston is not only are they a good ball hitting team, they're the best bad ball hitting team in baseball this year. So they've just done a lot of things right. And Dave's right about Manaea. This is not a great situation. He's left-handed. They crush left-hander, and if you're going to throw it over the plate, they're gonna find some holes. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I'll watch this game. It's going to be interesting. I like to watch Houston play.
We got Jessica and Abby joining us live here. People commenting in terms of the debate there. Eric loving the debate. We got love the discussion, pure love of baseball from Julio. Guys, if you're watching, feel free to drop a line below on YouTube. Let us know how you feel about the debate in terms of turning the corner for some of these pitchers. And Gibson, he was a dumpster fire, as we're seeing here in the chat box with the Minnesota Twins. But no doubt he's turned it around here with the Texas Rangers. We got 2 games left, guys, heading out west for the next one. 9:40 Eastern first pitch here, Dave. The Colorado Rockies, the Arizona Diamondbacks. Herberto Castellanos going for the D-backs. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. And Sensatella going for the Rockies. Pretty much pick 'em price here, Dave. -105 is what I'm seeing on both sides. 9, -120 towards the over here. Of course, we're getting the Colorado Rockies, Dave. Home road splits, 31-17 at home, 6-32 on the road. They cannot win away from Colorado and Arizona. They're just bad everywhere, Dave. So pick 'em price here. You interested in getting involved in the AL West?
I did get involved. I actually played this game, and on the video I did today, I mentioned that the Rockies on the season, if you've just played the home game for the home team for the first 5 in every one of their games this season, you're 55, 18, and 13. 55 wins, 18 losses, 13 pushes. And I didn't really have time on the video because I have to get it done inside 2 minutes or it won't post properly on Twitter. So that I don't get into in-depth stuff. But there's a reason why that stat is what it is. Now, it's a little ridiculous. But if you're asking why do the Rockies have this extraordinary record in first 5s where the home team is just a great bet, basically, there is a reason for it. Their pitchers have been absolutely fantastic at home and absolutely pathetic on the road. So obviously the logical conclusion is that's why they win a lot of first 5s at home, because the starting pitchers in the game and pitching well. And that's why they lose a lot of first 5s on the road, because none of their pitchers are any good on the road and they keep falling behind. And Sensatella, I don't know why the Rockies have this profile, by the way. It's supposed to be tougher to pitch at Coors than on the road, but it is what it is. Sensatella fits it like a glove. He's actually been pretty good at home this year for the Rockies. On the road, his OPS is just under 1. That's really bad. You get past 900 OPS. That's a gigantic red flag. And Sensatella has been pathetic on the road. Castellanos will go for the Diamondbacks. He's been pitching out of the pen. Little bit of success. He's a short, stocky guy, and I don't think he profiles as a starting pitcher. He gets underneath the ball at times, and that's the downside to being short when you're a pitcher. You get up in the zone, and those balls can disappear in a hurry. He won't be out there all that long today. I think maybe 50 to 60 pitches, so probably 3 to 4 innings. Diamondbacks first 5. I'll take my. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Sensatella, awful on the road. The Rockies, awful on the road. Diamondbacks, no good anywhere, but at least not all that far from 500 at home in the first 5 innings. at roughly pick 'em, I'll go ahead and give a bet to the Diamondbacks. I should have played them yesterday. I got scared off by the price because it got to be minus 140 for the first 5 with Merrill Kelly. They had a big advantage last night, and they won the first 5, eventually won the game. I think they're worth a little spec today at minus 105 for the first 5.
I like it, Dave. That was a great comment there. They're not that far from 500 at home in the first 5 innings. That was great, man.
Well, but the point is their bullpen is atrocious, and they find ways to lose games.
Yeah.
So they're not good in anything. They're a bad baseball team, but they're at least not incredibly awful in the first half of games. Second half of games, they've been just a train wreck.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Just kind of the degenerate feel of the day here, Tony. I mean, we get 2 of the bottom 3 coldest teams in MLB right now, the 2 worst hitting teams against righties right now. But to boot, Tony, it's the 2 worst bullpens in MLB as well. At least you can make the argument there. So a lot of worse going on in the degenerate special of the night here, Tony. What do you like in Rockies and Diamondbacks?
I guess if they're both equally bad, then maybe if you have an edge, jump on it. If you feel like you got an edge, you jump on it. This is a game like Dave. I'm the side. I'm contrary to Dave a little bit. Castellanos is exactly what Dave said he is. He's going to be, they just optioned him to AAA because of, and they didn't say it was, but I think it was because of that 7-run collapse they had. He was involved in that, and it shouldn't be any surprise that happened, but he gave that go-ahead grand slam to Yastrzemski. That was Castellanos. Well, he came back Wednesday and pitched 2 scoreless innings in relief. That's what you're going to get for Castellanos tonight, 2 or 3, as Dave. Basically, it's an opener for him. That's what he's been stretched to do all season long. And it shouldn't be any surprise that every single game that Castellanos has pitched in this year, they've lost. Arizona has lost. He's only pitched in a couple key situations. One of them was that grand slam to Yastrzemski. He has a blown save, but he's not put in a situation to be successful or to keep Arizona's success going. Mostly because, as Dave said, they haven't had a lot of success this year. Haven't been in those situations. Senator, everybody I've been reading, they're all high on the fact that he had 2 runs, 7 hits, no walks, 5 strikeouts, over 7 innings last game. It was against St. Louis, guys. St. Louis really can't hit the ball. They can't pitch, they can't hit. I think they're overrated. This is a dog game. But Dave kind of likes Arizona here. I think that's what he's saying. I kind of like Colorado here. So it's nothing that I'm going to put the mortgage on. I don't think Dave's going to put the mortgage on Arizona, but I'll be watching. I'll be following this game.
Yeah, kind of degenerate feel here in the late night slate. We also got the late night action, Yankees and Mariners in the last game. Lou saying, no one's saying money line or run line when you're talking about first 5. Lou, for the most part, I mean, just in gambling talk, if you just state a side, it is the money line, unless you state that you like it on the run line. Just for that, for people joining us in, but feel free to chime in here in the chat box. We love to see it, Lou. New York Yankees, Seattle Mariners. Last game here, Tony. German versus Kikuchi. I like Kikuchi here, Tony. 8.5 being the total. About a pick 'em price. The Mariners have taken money throughout the day. They are 26-18 at home. You liking anything here? Yankees and Mariners in the nightcap, Tony.
The Yankees got a nice win on Sunday night over the Mets, right? They get a day off, a rare Monday off. They fly 3 time zones, and they win 12-1 last night. It's just a team you can't trust. I mean, I can't. I don't know about Dave. I can't trust them. I haven't played against them or on them, but I think 2 times all year because I've been unable to put my arms around them and feel confident about it. Kikuchi, I have been successful with him. I've won a couple unders and a couple sides with him. As the season's gone along, when I first watched him, I thought, this guy's he's just not missing enough bats. But you look at his peripherals, underlying surface, whatever you look at, he gives you a chance to win. He gives them a chance to win when he goes to the mound. And that's what Seattle needs. They're going to give you 100%. Every night they're going to try and try and try and try. They don't ever give up. I would lean, I'm telling you, Herman hasn't been that good recently. And it's not because he was pitching from behind or pitching with no incentives, I would lean Seattle tonight and Kikuchi. And I believe it's, like you said, just about a pick 'em price.
And Dave, coming to you last here for the nightcap. Are you liking anything here? German versus Kikuchi, Mariners hosting the Yankees.
Herman's been horrible. 974 OPS on the road for the season. So he's been bad on the road all year. He's in lousy form. I think his last 4 or 5 starts, he hasn't had a single average start in that group. He's been bad. Kikuchi, no fluke. I mean, this guy deserves his spot on the All-Star team. So he's had a hell of a season. He's pitched very well at home. I think his average game score at home is 59. And I think he's only had 1 sub-50 start all year, if you track game scores. So he's been good. Now, look, the Yankees, when they've got Judge and Stanton and LeMahieu and Voit, all these righty-heavy, it's a righty-heavy lineup. They can hurt lefties.
Yeah.
But still, if a guy's commanding his stuff, not going to be easy to hit. They saw a lefty last night who, unfortunately for us bettors, I have a feeling Justice Sheffield's either going to get shuttled off to the bullpen or to the minors, because he's been terrible, and he was really bad last night. Everything up in the zone. I mean, it was batting practice against him. The Yankees will see a much different lefty tonight in Kikuchi. I think there's a pretty big edge on the mound for Seattle. The offensive edge does go to the Yankees, but I favor good pitching over good hitting. I'll line up on the Mariners here as well.
All right, Dave. And guys, we are up against it time-wise, so I'll just lead us off here in best bets. It is this game, Yankees and Mariners. I like Kikuchi a lot, like we were just kind of touching on. Kikuchi in his last 4 starts, not letting up more than 1 earned run in any of them. German not going deep at all, 3, 4, 5 innings maybe. So at a pick-em price here, I think we get the big advantage in the starting pitcher's role. Seattle 26-18 at home. The Yankees, like Tony touched on, they were on the East Coast. They had 1 off day flying across multiple time zones. They did win 12-1 in the first game against the Mariners, but I think that kind of comes up and sneaks up on them here. So at a pick-em price, Seattle's bullpen has been good of late as well. I'll take the home team, the Mariners, -105. So Tony Finn up next. Tony Slick Finn, according to the chat box here, Tony. Check them out, WagerTalk.com. Tony, where are you going for best bets tonight?
So we're up against time. I'll just make it really quick and short. I've been successful with the Phils last couple of days. I really like them tonight in the matchup with Wheeler against Mills. I think the price is more than fair. And it wasn't about a year ago, guys, maybe a little less than a year ago, that Mills was the surprising author of a no-hitter, if you remember. So I think is that correct? Yeah, I think it was in like September, sometime September.
No-hitter.
But the problem with the Cubs, they keep listen. Look at their batting average over the last 15 games, last 30, last 7. This team is hitting less than 200. Their on-base percentage less than 300. They began the year really, really sluggish at the plate. And I thought, well, they've come out of it. In fact, I thought they had a chance to compete in this division when they started hitting the ball. But again, they're back to who they were in the first 2 or 3 weeks, and that's definitely not good enough with the pitching they gave away, and they have currently. I'll take Phillies and Wheeler, who's been really good.
All right, good stuff there, Tony. Also, do need to note here, Domingo German. It's not German, it's Herman, according to one of our producers, Chris here, staying on top of it, guys. The pronunciation, yes, very important. Coming here for betting knowledge. We're trying to give it to you, but pronunciation is important as well. But Dave, I'll throw it over to you for anything on that and your best bet.
Yes, I believe I got Domingo Herman right. And hopefully I'll get Castellanos right, too. It's his first Major League start. He'll be excited about that. We'll see if the Diamondbacks can squeeze out a first 5 win, as they did last night against the Rockies. By the way, nice finish to that game last night. Arizona gets a walk-off win on a hit batter. That's the way the Diamondbacks can win games this year, if the other team screws up. We'll see if Senzatella can screw up today. Diamondbacks first 5. Hold your nose, hold your breath, see what happens.
I like it, Dave. All right, good way to finish it there, guys. In recap, 4 best bets: Mariners, pick 'em price for me, -105. D-backs, first 5, -105 for Dave Cokin. Tony Finn saying Phillies, -140. Great action-packed show, guys. Very entertaining. Tony Finn, Dave Cokin bringing it. Guys, if you like the content, please smash the like button. Feel free to leave a comment below. And like always, huge shout out to the chat box, all the VIPs joining us each and every day, Monday through Friday, 1:45 Eastern. Come back and join us tomorrow for For Tony, Finn, Dave Cokin, I am Drew Martin. Best of luck with your bets, and we'll talk tomorrow.
The results do not lie. Teddy has released an NFL season win totals report every year since 2001 and is 91-41 with those releases, including a 14-3, that's 82% mark, with his 5% best bets. He went 75% with this report last year, including an easy 5% big ticket winner with the Bills over 9 wins. Take advantage of this opportunity and get on board for the low price of $199, or better yet, the report is free for Teddy's full season subscribers, documented 57% over the last 5 years, counting every play, every day. Get on board with this proven NFL profit producer.